we're talking about vitamin D in this series. Today, we're going to talk about how vitamin D regulates cell growth. We talk about apoptosis, the anti-inflammatory effects of vitamin D in the body, and the immune system. Okay, so number one, vitamin D regulates cell growth in the body. Vitamin D regulates cell growth and differentiation. So two different things. It regulates how big or how small the cell could be, and it differentiates the cells from one cell to another. It promotes the differentiation in cells, which is essential for maintaining healthy tissue. Lack of differentiation can lead to uncontrolled cell growth, a hallmark of cancer, right? So that's what happens when people get tumor, people get cancers. You have a bunch of cells running around that really don't know who they are, and this is vitamin D's role in the body to tell cells who they are. Hey, you're an immune cell. Hey, you're a red blood cell. Hey, you're this cell over here. So if you don't have enough vitamin D to do its job, then cells grow as big as they want to grow. The second thing that vitamin D does in the body is a thing called apoptosis or apoptosis induction. Okay, vitamin D induces apoptosis, which is a process of programmed cell death. This helps eliminate damaged or potentially damaged or potentially cancerous cells. So again, vitamin D is on the job, looking to see if all the cells are who they're supposed to be and if they're doing what they're supposed to do. Okay. And if there's a cell that's in the body and it's damaged, vitamin D is on the job. It comes and say, hey, you got to go. Okay. And it programs cell death so that you're not dealing with unregulated cell growth, undifferentiated cells and things like that. So this is why vitamin D is important. Number 3, anti-inflammatory effects. Chronic inflammation is a known risk factor for cancer. Vitamin D has anti-inflammatory properties which might reduce the risk of cancer development. And number 4 is immune system modulation. So vitamin D plays a role in modulating the immune system. Immune system modulation. So vitamin D plays a role in modulating the immune system, a robust system that can better detect and destroy cancer cells. Okay, so this is how vitamin D does it with the regulation of cell growth. There's a mechanism. It's the regulation of cell cycles. So, number 1, cell cycle arrest. This slows down and stops the proliferation of cells, allowing DNA repair or the initiation of apoptosis if the damage is irreparable. That's pretty cool. So, vitamin D is saying that if you are able to be repaired as a cell, then we're going to repair you. If you're not, then you got to go. That's really it. Okay, we need that. We have muscle that is built, cells that develop, and then we have cells that die, and vitamin D is a part of that process. Okay, cyclin and cyclin-dependent kinase inhibition. Yep, take all of that in. Vitamin influences the expression of cyclins and cyclin-dependent kinases, or CDKs, which are crucial for cell cycle progression. By down-regulating these proteins, vitamin D can prevent cells from progressing through the cell cycle uncontrollably. Here again, vitamin D is on the job, saying that it controls how much a cell grows or doesn't grow. And again, if cells are damaged, vitamin D says, hey, you got to go. If the cells can be repaired, vitamin D will make sure that process happens. And that's number 1. That's a little more detail about how vitamin D helps with cell regulation. Okay, number 2. This is the second part of the second point that we made earlier about cell differentiation. Vitamin D promotes the differentiation of cells, which is the process by which cells become specialized in structure and function. Differentiated cells are less likely to divide uncontrollably compared to undifferentiated cells or stem-like cells. So that's more detail of how vitamin D basically structures cells and make sure that the structure of the cell is correct and the function of the cell is correct. If those things are out of place, vitamin D is going to decide whether you stay or you go. Okay. I kind of like having this defense of vitamin D. Like, that's cool. That's going to keep us healthy. Second point in point 2 of promotion of differentiation. Gene expression regulation. Vitamin D influences the expression of genes involved in differentiation. For example, if unregulated expression of genes, for example, it can upregulate the expression of genes that promote a differentiated phenotype and downregulate those that maintain a proliferate undifferentiated state. Whoa, that's pretty deep. Hold on, that was a lot of words. But what this is saying is that vitamin D can decide if a cell is expressed, if a cell expresses itself, whether it needs to express itself more or less. So it's going to express more of the differentiated cells, like how you promote the good workers and then you give less hours to the, unproducing workers. That's sort of how this is. So in this whole process of differentiation, vitamin D is also going to say, okay, you're the right type of cell. We want you to express yourself more because you are perfect. You are good. Let's get you more working hours. Whereas the undifferentiated cell is going to say, express yourself less. We're going to give you less hours. Probably eventually going to fire you. Go vitamin D. Vitamin D is on a job. Okay. Third point we're going to make, which is the third point that we made earlier about induction of apoptosis. Okay. Number 1, apoptic pathways. Vitamin D activates several pathways that lead to apoptosis or programmed cell death. This includes both the intrinsic and intrinsic or extrinsic pathways. All right, so vitamin D gives or creates a highway. Let's say some of these cells that are going down the road of being fired or being killed off, there's a pathway for them. This includes both intrinsic mitochondrial and extrinsic death receptor pathways. So vitamin D actually activates the pathways that lead to programmed cell death. So it gives them like a little hallway. Listen, y'all are getting out of here because for whatever reason, y'all cells are not perfect. So we're going to have you go down this hallway here. Vitamin D creates that pathway, the apoptic pathway. Second point, and point 3, the induction of apoptosis is pro-apoptic proteins. Vitamin D increases the expression of pro-apoptic proteins such as BAX and decreases the expression of anti-apoptic proteins such as BCL2. The shift in the balance of these proteins triggers the apoptic process in damaged or potentially cancerous cells. Okay. Again, vitamin D is going to promote you as a cell if you're a good cell. And it's not going to promote you if you're not a good cell. It's how it works. I like having tiny security in my body. Just vitamin D. Go vitamin D. Vitamin D's on the job. All right. So, in the last point that we made about the anti-inflammatory effects, here's more information. Fourth point in the point that we made earlier about the anti-inflammatory effects of vitamin D. Inflammatory cytokine reduction. Chronic inflammation is a risk factor for cancer. Vitamin D reduces the production of inflammatory cytokines, thereby reducing inflammation and the associated risk of cellular mutation and cancer development. We have to appreciate vitamin D because it goes straight to work. Remember, you can get vitamin D from the sun, and you can get it from foods like fish, like dairy. And the second point and the fourth point, bullet point. Second bullet point in the fourth point is immune modulation. Vitamin D modulates the immune system, enhancing the ability of immune cells to target and destroy adherent cells. So vitamin D turns up the volume, and it says, hey, let's go find all the cells that aren't working right. Let's get rid of them. And so it's going to adjust what it produces in your body according to what the threats are. A third point in the fourth point. Well, a third point in the, a third, bullet point. Third bullet point in the fourth part of this vitamin D series. Okay. Inhibition of angiogenesis. Angiogenesis suppression. Okay. Vitamin D inhibits the formation of new blood vessels that tumors need for growth and metastasis. This is achieved by downregulating angiogenic factors such as vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF. So vitamin D, again, is going to come in and take all the materials that cancer would need or a tumor would need to grow. It's going to take away those blood vessels that cancer cells are trying to form. Okay, and it's going to downregulate. Okay, it's going to reduce the power of angiogenic factors. Okay, we appreciate that from vitamin D. Conclusion. Vitamin D's ability to regulate cell growth, promote differentiation, induce apoptosis, reduce inflammation, and inhibit angiogenesis collectively contributes to its potential role in preventing and controlling cancer. If you've been listening to this series, vitamin D is quite powerful. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface, but okay, more. Maintaining adequate levels of vitamin D is crucial for these proteins, for these proactive effects. We love that. We love that idea. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay. Like, share, comment. Let's keep talking about vitamin D. What ways have you got more vitamin D? Comment down below. Thanks for joining Starlight Therapies, and we will see you again.